There are three defining characteristics that all Marxists share. There's a wide variety in personality types among Marxists. Some are smart, some are stupid, some are perceptive and understanding of human nature, some are ridiculously naive. Some are sincere in their belief of a perfect, classless society, and some are just grifters who see an opportunity for personal enrichment, not to mention a wide range of personal preferences concerning entertainment, recreation, food, and style. However, there are three defining core characteristics that control Marxist behavior, core elements of their personality. Once you understand this, so much of what they do and why they do it will snap into focus. We have to first define what we mean by Marxist. I use the term because it is more inclusive and broadly defined, as these are broad categories of personality traits. It's also to eliminate confusion, as Marxists constantly refer to themselves through different terms. Communist fell out of favor, so they used terms like socialist or progressive. For a while, social justice was their term. Now it's woke. Some of them have already started complaining about the term woke as well. I have decided to use Marxist as a catch-all term since, regardless of what shell game they like to play with terminology, it is all derived from classical Marxism. To clarify, we define Marxist as anyone who adheres to or promotes Marxist ideology in any form or subset. This includes, but is not limited to, communists, Maoists, neo-progressives, social justice warriors, intersectional feminists, black nationalists, Black Lives Matter activists, Antifa, gender ideology activists, leftists, and any other label they might concoct. I do not use this term to refer to anyone who votes Democrat or other left-wing parties, or anyone who spouts off Marxist talking points. These days it has become trendy to mindlessly regurgitate neo-Marxist catchphrases, assure your allegiance to left-wing causes, and or express disdain for non-Marxists. A lot of this is just done to fit in or avoid negative consequences. These are not true believers. Many of them are just spewing bullshit they don't understand or care about to keep from getting blacklisted or facing the cancel mob. These three core personality traits are only certain to apply to the faithful. The more faithful the Marxist, the more these characteristics will assert themselves. The first defining characteristic of Marxists is an unearned sense of superiority. This characteristic is so obvious that I barely feel the need to elaborate. Anyone who has ever engaged with an SJW, intersectional feminist, or BLM supporter immediately recognizes this trait. A Marxist will always feel superior to a non-Marxist. If the non-Marxist is disengaged from politics, the Marxist will feel more knowledgeable. If the non-Marxist rejects the ideology, then the Marxist will feel morally superior. This is one of the chief appeals to embracing Marxism. By doing so, you can make yourself feel good about who you are without having to make any sacrifices. This is why I specified unearned sense of superiority. A Marxist feels superior and entitled to privileged status, not for anything he has accomplished or positive results, but simply from the act of believing and spreading this belief system. This is a weakness as well. If you can make a Marxist see how their beliefs have made the world worse, and especially how their actions have been cruel, then their whole belief system will often crumble. The second characteristic of Marxists is a strong tendency towards sadism and or cruelty. It's important to understand that these are two different things and both can be present. One of these will always manifest itself. Cruelty, for example, is taking actions that directly and deliberately inflict suffering, harm, or pain on someone else. Sadism is taking pleasure from watching other people suffer. A person can be cruel out of a sense of necessity but not particularly enjoy it. A sadist may inflict no pain themselves, but nevertheless enjoy watching it happen. Again, one or both of these traits will always be present in the Marxist. It's also important to understand that very few sadistic people are pure sociopaths. Most sadistic people have to rationalize why it's okay for them to take pleasure watching someone else suffer. That's where the first characteristic, unearned superiority, comes in. Sadists and cruel people are naturally attracted to Marxist ideologies because they allow them to indulge in harm to others but still feel good about themselves. One of the most apparent displays of this can be found in American Marxist chief weapon, cancel culture. The sadistic glee with which Marxists have responded to watching people lose their livelihoods, reputations, friends, watching these people end up destitute and sometimes even harming themselves has been absolutely shocking to decent people. The Marxists have combed through people's personal histories and social media accounts to find anything they can use. It doesn't have to be a racial slur. It can be anything that marks you as an unbeliever. They track down a person's employer and spread the most mendacious lies to get them fired. They harass, intimidate, and threaten friends and even family members to cut off contact, denounce, and isolate you. We also see this cruelty in the willingness of Antifa brown shirts to inflict violence on people in public. We see sadism in the way they revel when a non-Marxist dies. We've all heard the laughter that accompanies when their victims plead for mercy. Marxism attracts the sadistic and cruel. Simultaneously, the more Marxist a person becomes, the more sadistic or cruel they become. I am certainly not the first person to have ever noticed this trend. The third defining characteristic is a total lack of personal integrity and suggests that parties holding within themselves apparently conflicting values should account for their discrepancy or alter their beliefs. When a person has integrity, you can trust that they won't lie to you, that they believe what they are saying, that they genuinely care, and that they are actually in pain. A person with integrity finds it difficult to lie, even when doing so is necessary to save lives. A person with integrity needs to rectify cognitive dissonance when they are presented with contradictory facts. A person with integrity tries hard to avoid behaving hypocritically and wants an equal standard for all. Lastly, a person with integrity is constantly asking if they are doing the right thing and looking beyond their own personal interests. By contrast, Marxism requires a person to abandon integrity. Why? Because only someone with no integrity could embrace a belief system that has a 100% rate of catastrophic failure and feel superior enough to inflict pain on anyone who opposes it. A Marxist will blatantly lie to your face and continue lying even when shown proof that he is lying. A Marxist will gaslight and shamelessly accuse you of doing what they are doing. A Marxist will engage in the most egregious display of double standards and jaw-dropping hypocrisy without the slightest bit of shame. The examples are too numerous to mention. This total lack of integrity gives Marxists a distinct advantage since it allows them to blatantly lie without any personal psychological cost. The downside is that no one can trust them, not even in their personal lives. You think anyone sharing their personal secrets with Taylor Lorenz, no matter how much she insists they can? This is also the most uniquely negative personal aspect of embracing Marxism. Everyone has moments where they feel superior because smarter or wiser because they've discovered something about the world or found some new ideological framework that makes sense to them. Everyone has had a sense of schadenfreude when a public figure who has been getting away with bad shit for years suddenly gets their comeuppance. These negative emotions must be tempered by integrity and a willingness to step outside your own emotional framework and ask yourself whether you are behaving morally. Without integrity, we can be convinced that any action, no matter how horrifying it is justified. That is why it is so vital to sacrifice integrity on the altar of Marxism. When you look at people who have left the woke cult, the common denominator is that they were unable to sacrifice their integrity. When they saw things that contradicted their beliefs, they were unable to just brush them aside. When fellow leftists demanded they support violence, blatantly lie, or denounce a friend, they couldn't. Ultimately, you can have integrity or Marxism. You can't have both. Let's review these characteristics. Characteristic number 1, an unearned sense of superiority. Characteristic number 2, a strong tendency towards sadism and or cruelty. Characteristic number 3, a strong lack of personal integrity. This isn't a deep dive. I only provided a few examples because I wanted to keep the video short. But I do encourage you to take another critical look at the behavior of the modern left today. You will see these traits constantly reemerge. Once you see it, you can't unsee it.